Hello. So this is what we're trying to get to. I have a previous, over the last few weeks, I've been building an application, and this is where we're going to learn how to turn it from a vertical with with the width of the bars changing based on the number of yards to like sort of this other way of doing it where the height of the bar changes based on the number of yards a football team has done. So, anyways, that's what it looks like. We will. I'm going to undo the work I've done to make that happen. Discard changes, and we'll get to see how it was. So as you see, it's all vertical there. So get rid of our left over here. So we are in. If you want to understand like the architecture of this application, there are some previous videos. But if you just want to learn how to show basically everything shifted into vertical, particularly the text items, this is probably the video you want to watch. So the first thing I'm going to do, there's like 1,000 things, hundreds of things that need to be done, and the order at which you do them is confusing at best. This is where you kind of can get into a paralysis sort of situation. And then depending on how the code is written, you might have different, um, like you may have to dig in deeper to understand basic concepts in order to do the work. But for now, I'm just going to get started by making something easy. So I'm going to make every width the width of this application divided by 2. And maybe, you know what, I didn't think about this, but maybe if I make this for, let's say, yeah, 400 by 250, so we'll maintain like the proportions, but let's see, it'll be a little bit, yeah, that's easier, kind of, I don't know. I'm actually going to save. All right, because the text just gets a little too small. Maybe I can just change the width to 700 and things won't get weird. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so everything is, so now every item is going to be the same height now, but a different, and then or no, they're all going to be the same. Yeah. Oh, wait a second. What in the world? Okay, that was weird. Okay, so I'm going to change the width. I don't know what just happened there. I'm going to change the width to 700. So it fits a little better. There we go. It's a lot better. And now, that is bizarre. I don't know what just happened there. Okay, yeah, no, that's right. 700. We'll come over here. We'll collapse this. So we have a little bit more to see. Let's give us a little bit more vertical space here. Okay, so I'm going to make every one of them the same width in anticipation of them becoming the same height. So the bars get a width here, and here's where we set it. So this bars should be more like height. So we have this thing called bar height. So let's just create a const bar width. And we can kind of look at the pattern of how I did over there. So that's width divided by teams dot length. So, you could do a deep dive and try to understand everything's going on here, but I think it's pretty clear. This is the width of the entire application or the entire chart, and then this is our new bar width. So I can just take this, replace it with this. And that's good. Okay, so now the next thing you could do would be to make them all to the right, the correct amount. So we do not do anything with the X attribute, so we're going to do that. So now we're updating the position from horizontal position of this bad boy. And I think we're going to have to introduce something new here, and that is the count, or the index of the data. So basically D, FB data, and then, and D you can name that anything you want, and then I, colon, number. So you just have to know that. You just have to know that, hey, there's a second thing. You can name it whatever you want. Sometimes I see it called I, sometimes I see it called index. It seems to be what most people call these things. And then, so I'm going to return the number, the index, times width. I don't know if you need a minute to think about that, but that did not work. Oh, width, huh? Bar width. So yeah, they're like, if you looked at the elements, then you would see that that those other ones were way off because it was the whole width, not the bar width. All right, so that's good. Okay, so now we know that each one of these bars needs to start, or needs to start at the same amount, same place. So let's just do that. So what I was doing before in some of my other practice sessions was making the Y, pushing the Y all the way to the bottom, but that ends up being a mistake, because really what you want to do is you want to set the heights and then push it, the amount of the difference between the height and the height of the chart and the height of the bar. So that is coming. So right now we're going to set our Y to 0. And we'll come back and take care of, well, yeah, we'll go back and take care of that later, because it is actually very confusing. I believe this will put them all, yeah, okay. Now let's set the height of each one of these guys to, we need to figure it out, and that is going to be very similar to before. We had a scale, a width scale, and we're going to need a height scale. So we can blindly, like we, in previous videos, we did a deep dive into what these scales are, but since we wrote that in a way that someone doesn't really have to get super deep in to understand, to work it, right? Like to understand it, they would have to get deep in, but to actually work it. So this get height scale is going to take the yards and a height, and it's going to return the corresponding value. I did a much deeper dive into that in an earlier video. Maybe one day I'll make a video that's just about that, but basically it just returns a proportion. And we don't really have to understand it at this point to effectively manipulate this code. But so there was a get width scale here, so we'll just copy that, blindly copy that. We don't really need to, at this point, we don't really need to do a deep dive into that. And then let's fix our comment. That is always a disaster whenever a developer doesn't update the comments, because it is so confusing on the flip side when you're trying to maintain this stuff. So all I'm doing is just changing over to this and not really thinking too deeply into what it's doing and all that. So misspelled height. Okay, so before we had like get, for width we had get width cell. So height is going to be like this. And we're going to get our data, and it's of kind FB data. And we are going to return the result from get height scale. Is that right? Doesn't seem right. Oh, it's height scale. And we're going to pass it in d dot total yards. So basically, every data value is going to have a total yards, and it's the yards for a specific team. And it's just going to loop over there, and there we go. So what we have is an inverted chart. So now we want them all to start on the bottom. So what we need to do is we need to take the number of yards, the height, minus the height of this bar. So we're going to do something along the lines of basically like this, because that's the height of the bar. We don't need these if we're going to do it this way. And the height of the whole chart. Boom. Okay, so that's good. So now, just probably this would be a good time to clean this up. Get rid of width scale. Get width scale. And just sort of make sure nothing breaks on the compiler. Yep, okay, and then we hit save and it recompiled everything, works great. It doesn't look like we need this bar height anymore. Because A, it's wrong, so that would confuse the heck out of any developer that's trying to follow. Okay, so now we want to push all of these guys down, and I don't know why, but if you do get, like over here, if you set this, well, okay, let's bring them all onto their own line first. So let's go to the labels, and this is weird the way that is, and our Y attribute is there, so we just want them all to be on the same Y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this 0. See what that does. So they're all way up here. Okay, so now we want to move it down. And what we're going to do is do a little translate thing with types JavaScript. I don't know why, but like you would think you could say, oh, y, comma 100, and that it would push it down, but it doesn't. I don't know why. But what you can do is you can say transform, and then over here you can tell it to translate. Put this in front, and then 100. I don't know if you need the PX or not. Yep. So it slid it 100 over to the left and translate. Oh, sorry, that was not what I wanted to do. Comma 100. And you should see it go down 100. So clearly don't want that to be there. And I believe we want this to be our height of our chart. I experimented a lot around with that a little bit before, and that's how I know. All right, so now we want every one of these labels to move over the to the correct spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my labels and I'm going to do translate. I don't know why, but like you can't, again, you can't, let's just try it. I don't believe you can do this. X, comma. Oh, wait, you can. Okay. Well, we're going to use that then. All right. DFB data, and then we need the index. So that is the index of the value in the array where all the data is, and then I, and then times width. And so, oh, I did it again, bar width. And boom. So now each one of those has a bar width. Now, one last thing, ATTR. We want to rotate it. And we want to do a transform. And we want to say rotate and minus 90. I do that all the time. I can't believe I misspelled transform again. Okay, yeah, this is weirdo, right? Like, I don't understand why this happens, but now they got translated as a group, not individually. But I believe if I do this, translate, okay, so if I'm going to do it that way, I have to do this. Well, yeah, to get the right thing in there, I'm going to need this. DFB data. And then I think we might be able to get away with this. Slate. Rotate. And then the first value in translate is the X position, which is what we need to update. So this needs to be I times bar width. I, which is a number. Okay, that's much better. Okay, so you see that we're off by about a bar width. So let's just add a bar width to it. And this is probably going to look weird to you because these two outer guys are appending two strings together, and then this is actually doing math. I might switch it over to a template to backticks. Okay, yeah, so that's good. So let's change this to backticks, and it might be a little bit more, make a little more sense, because that is awkward. But it thinks these are strings right now, so I believe we do like that. That is should work, I believe. Might need to put these, probably need to put these, let's see. Yeah, I think we need to put these in parentheses. No, actually what we need to do is this needs to be like that. That's right. So this is telling it to execute this as code, not to leave it as a nope. Let's see if we have a attribute expected number. See, that actually kind of looks right? Like translate 500 and oh, we're missing the we have I think we have an extra parentheses. There we go. All right, and so now we probably should give ourselves like a little bit of margin. So -4. Yeah, I like it. And that does it. That's how it works. So I'm going to commit this and I'm going to make sure I'm going to save this recording. And if I am, I'm going to commit this and that's where we'll start next time. Thanks everybody. Bye.